All right. Thank you very much for that awesome introduction, Steve. Appreciate it very much. Let's go ahead and jump in here this morning, friends. Thank you all for joining us. We appreciate you being on today. And Steve's right. You're going to learn today how you can go out and make $1,000 a day or more by helping people do a couple of things that most people are already wanting to do. What do most people in today's economy want and need? They want more income and they want to get rid of their debts. That's the root cause of the affordability issues in America right now, friends, is too much debt. And we're solving America's affordability crisis and doing it in a big, big way. So thanks for being part of this. Let's go ahead and get started, friends. United Financial Freedom is the first and only financial technology company that has been specifically designed to help average American families eliminate, pay off as much as 80% of the interest on all of their debt. And that includes the mortgage, the car loan, the student loans, the credit cards, the boats, the RVs, you name it. Pay everything off in as little as 5 to 7 years. And here's the key, without refinancing and without changing their current lifestyle. Friends, that's exciting. And so far, we've been able to accomplish getting our clients to manage over $10.6 billion. That's $10.6 billion with a B in the Money Max program. You'll see what that looks like in a minute. That number goes up every single week. Last week it went up by over $21.5 million. And this is the number that we're really excited about and proud of. And that's how much principal debt has been paid off by all of our clients nationwide. $2.9 billion of principal debt paid off using the Money Max accounting system. That number goes up every week too. Last week it went up $6.7 million. So friends, what you're going to see here today is real. It's proven. We've been around now for 20 plus years, and this is absolutely the fastest path to debt freedom, the fastest path to financial freedom, the fastest path to retirement. Whatever it is you want to accomplish, friends, this is your fast track. Let's take a look at what the Money Max accounting system is all about. And I want to share with you this morning Brad and Cindy Johnson. Now, Brad and Cindy got started on their MMA program in September of 2023. At the time, they had $1,000 in their checking account, $5,138.89 in a high-yield savings account, and they had just moved into a new home, and with that new home comes a new mortgage. We'll get to that in a moment, but as of the time they moved into the home, it was valued at $475,000, so their total assets on paper at least $481,138. Now, like most American families, Brad and Cindy at the time were drowning in debt. You can see what their debts are if you look at the screen. They had an American Express, an auto loan, a MasterCard, a student loan, and a Visa. You can see what the annual percentage rate is on each one of those debts, the balance, the minimum monthly payment, how much is still available on the credit cards. All of that information is right there at their fingertips. So $80,000 of consumer debt. I want you to kind of make a mental note of the highest annual percentage interest that you see on the screen. Well, I'll give you a clue. It's the American Express and the MasterCard. They're both at 23.99%. Kind of keep that in the back of your mind. Now, as I mentioned, they had also just moved into a brand new home. With the brand new home came a $389,900 mortgage, 6% annual percentage rate, and with the escrow, that's the insurance and the taxes included, monthly payment is $2,837.65. So Brad and Cindy's total principal debt when they got started was $469,936. Friends, would y'all agree that that's probably pretty typical of an average American family these days? Yeah, pretty normal, pretty typical, pretty average. Well, here's the first piece of good news for Brad and Cindy. It says right here on the top, we call this the dashboard. Guys, you're not going to be in debt 30 years. Yeah, you just got into a new mortgage, and yeah, you've got 20 years left on the student loans. 30 years left on the mortgage if you just do things the mainstream banking way. But we don't do things the mainstream banking way at United Financial Freedom. We accelerate and surpass and save a ton of money. So here's the dashboard saying, Brad and Cindy, you guys are going to be debt-free in 10 years, and you're going to save $337,000 of interest that you would have otherwise paid the bank. Friends, let me ask you a question. If you could save 20 years of debt payments, and if you could save $337,000, let's use another number. What if you could save $200,000? What if you could save $150,000? Would that be worth a one-time small investment? Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Friends, that's how powerful the MoneyMax accounting system is. Now, here's another number I want to show you. This $491,706, that represents how much interest the banks and the lenders wanted Brad and Cindy to pay. $491,706 of interest on top of the principal that they are obligated to pay back. Friends, that means that the banks and the lenders wanted Brad and Cindy to pay a total of 104.63% interest. 104% interest. I'll get to that in a moment and show you how that's calculated. But they wanted them to pay back almost $1 million. Holy moly. Compare that with how much interest they're going to have to pay using the MoneyMax account. And by the way, it gets even better than that. But I want to show you the rest of the picture. Brad and Cindy made pretty good money at the time that they got started. They were bringing home about $8,400 a month. You can see what Brad's income is semi-monthly and Cindy's income. And their household budget is around $2,755 a month. And when you add in the debt payments, they're spending about $65.73 per month on average. Now, they've got some of their monthly budget itemized. Some of it is unitemized, but it is all being accounted for. So what is the MoneyMax account doing for Brad and Cindy? Well, same thing it's going to do for you. Same thing it's going to do for anybody that you introduce it to. It's going to literally deep dive into every piece of the puzzle. It's going to look at each one of the debts. How is each debt structured? Is it simple interest or compound interest? Is it open-end loan or closed-end loan? Is it amortized or non-amortized? How is the interest charged? Is it daily, weekly, monthly, yearly? Friends, every factor makes a big difference in the equation. Every factor is a big deal. Well, if you paid attention, Brad and Cindy have 5 consumer debts plus the mortgage. That's 6 factors. Each one of them has its own APR. That's another 6 factors. Each one of them has a monthly payment and is scheduled a certain way with the bank. Those are another 6 factors. That's 18 factors already. Then you bring in the income and the monthly expenses, and oh boy, we've got a lot of math going on behind the scenes. Well, here's the good news. The MoneyMax accounting system takes all of that math behind the scenes and it gives Brad and Cindy a precision, customized, friends, right to the penny, right for them, action plan to follow. All they have to do is do what the program tells them to do and keep it up to date. Pretty simple, right? Maybe take 10, 15 minutes a week, keep this thing up to date, and it's going to tell you exactly what to do, Brad and Cindy, for the rest of your life to make your money as efficient for you as possible. Let me show you a couple of examples. On the 1st of September, it tells them move $186.82 from savings to checking. That's what those double red lines are right there. If I hover the mouse over that, here's a suggested transfer to avoid an overdraft, $186.82. Now, why was the money in savings? Do you remember Brad and Cindy have a high yield savings account? That means the program is not only helping them save 20 years of debt payments and save $337,000 of interest, the program is taking advantage of earning interest wherever possible. They're able to stuff money into that high yield savings account and earn money even by the day. Whether it's a day, a week, a month, friends, every dollar that they can earn, That again makes a big difference. If I hover the mouse over the mortgage payment and show you what that says, it says, guys, when you make your first mortgage payment of $2,837.65, the principal balance is going to go down by, let's look at that, $389.9 down to $389.511. Yeah, the principal balance goes down by $388. I'm going to give you a minute to just think about that. They paid $2,837.65, and the bank credited their account $388. Friends, how long do you want to play that game with a bank? Now, let me show you how wonky and crazy banking math is. But they do disclose it. Sad part of it is most people don't understand the disclosure and don't really understand what's going on. You ever gotten a mortgage and you've been in the real estate office and you're signing a stack of paperwork about that deep? I know nowadays it's all digital, but you're going through all the papers and you're agreeing and you're clicking and you're putting your signature on it. Do you ever really take time to read what it says? Well, friends, this is not Brad and Cindy. This is one of Steve and Sue Bishop's clients. And this particular family borrowed $395,126.06 on their mortgage. Look how much interest the bank is tacking on top of that for them to pay. The bank wants them to pay back almost $1 million, $972,000. They borrowed less than $400,000. How does it become $563,000 of interest? And more importantly, what in the world are they buying? What are they gaining? What are they getting for over $500,000 of interest? What do they get? Nothing. Here's the thing. The loan estimate closing disclosure says it. Very few people read it, and even few people understand it. Here's what it says. It says the annual percentage rate are your costs over the loan term expressed as a rate, but this is not your interest rate. Friends, that's legal banking terminology. This is a legal bank document. We didn't make this up. This is how the banks figure interest on amortized loans. And amortized loans could be a mortgage, it could be a car loan, it could be a truck loan, it could be a boat, an RV, it could be furniture, it could be whatever. It could be IRS tax debt. Anything that is amortized, friends, you've got an APR and you've got a tip. Which one do you think you're actually paying? I'll give you a big hint. You're actually paying the tip. The total amount of interest that you will pay over the loan term, that's 130.58%. Oh my goodness. Would this family have signed the mortgage papers if they understood that? Probably not. Here's another one of Steve and Sue's clients, and this family borrowed $281,000 on a mortgage. They got a screaming deal. They got a 3.55 APR, and they thought that was a killer deal until Steve showed them what it says. It says, guys, that's not what you're paying. You're paying 59.26% interest. Wow, 59.26% interest. How long do you want to do that? Now back to Brad and Cindy. This program is in the background calculating exactly what they need to do, when they need to do it, how much they need to do, right to the penny in order to get them out of debt in 10 years and save them $337,000 of interest. And it'll do the same thing for you. And friends, this does not follow a logical path. Most people would think, well, let's go after the highest interest rate first. Well, let's see if that's what the program does. Do you remember? The two highest interest rates on their debts were the American Express and the MasterCard. So why is the program telling Brad and Cindy, take 1915.08 and pay off your American Express, and then take 1876.87 and pay additional principal on the Visa? Why is it doing that? Because mathematically, that's going to save them the most amount of money and the most amount of time. You see, friends, when we try and figure all this out on our own, we tend to just shotgun approach it, and we put maybe an extra $25 a month on the credit card, and maybe we'll save up a little bit and put an extra $100 on the mortgage. Are we really accomplishing anything? No. Sadly, no, not much. A little bit, but not much. Friends, this program is like a laser beam that is going to save you the most amount of money in the most amount of time. Again, tells Brad and Cindy, take 1915-08, pay off that American Express. That's going to save you $2,608 of interest you no longer have to pay. Then it tells them, take 1876.87. Doesn't tell them to put it on the MasterCard. It tells them the Visa. That was the low interest rate credit card. Doesn't make sense, but it does mathematically, with all those mathematical algorithms going on in the background, that their sole goal is to save Brad and Cindy the most amount of money in the most amount of time. Doesn't make sense to us, but it makes sense mathematically. It says 1876.87 additional principal on the Visa. Guys, that's going to save you $2,786 of interest you no longer have to pay. We go into the month of October. They're moving some more money from checking to savings, taking advantage of the high yield savings account. Nothing unusual going on the rest of the month. We get into the month of November. And oh my goodness, now, what are we going to do? Are we going to pay off the car loan? Are we going to go after the student loan? Man, like to get rid of that student loan. That's a 20-year debt. Nope. The program says mathematically, guys, the next thing that you need to do is pay off that MasterCard, $2,700.32. That's going to save you another $4,276 of interest you don't have to pay. And then let's circle back and finish paying off the Visa, $225.72. That saves you another $21. For Brad, that's enough money to take his wife out to a fast food lunch. That's a pretty good deal, right? Rather have $21 in my pocket than give it to the bank. And then it tells them take 906.22 and pay additional principal on the mortgage 4 days after the regular mortgage payment is due. 906.22 additional principal on the mortgage. Friends, would you have come up with that exact number trying to figure all that out on your own? Would you have come up with any of these exact, precise numbers trying to figure it out on your own? No. None of us are that smart. None of us have all of that mathematical understanding and engineering in our brains. We just don't. But look at this. That 906.22 is going to save Brad and Cindy $4,452 on their mortgage. Interest they no longer have to pay. And then it calculates, guys, you're going to be able to move another $87.87 from checking to savings on the 20th of November, 2023. Friends, that's how the program works. And it works brilliantly every single time. It works brilliantly. Now you know why we've helped our clients pay off $2.9 billion of principal debt. $2.9 billion, friends. That's a lot of principal debt paid off using this program. Now, sometimes people will say, Lynn, this is all really good, but gosh, my situation changes periodically. My income fluctuates. My expenses fluctuate. Well, guess what? Everybody's does. We don't spend the same amount of money at the grocery store this week that we did last week. We don't spend the same amount of money on gas at the station this week that we did last week. Everybody's situation fluctuates. That's normal. And the Money Max account handles all of it. I love that. Now, here's the most exciting part. Have you ever wished you could have a way to see what the long-term effect of every financial decision you make would be before you make it? Friends, watch this. Brad and Cindy are looking at their budget, and they're thinking, if we got rid of a storage unit that we don't need anymore, we could save about $150 a month. Well, that would take our unitemized budget from $1,750 a month down to $1,600. What does that do for Brad and Cindy? It says, guys, now you're going to be debt-free in 9.6 years. And look at that new payoff date. You're going to save even more money. The savings goes from $337,000 up to $343,000. Pretty cool, right? Then they decide, we ought to be sharing this with other people. We know a lot of people that are struggling financially, and they're paying a lot of money in interest that they just don't need to be paying. So what would happen if we shared it with one family a month, just one? Now, they already know they can make $1,000 a month just by doing that part-time after they've gone through the training, and I'll explain that in a minute. They decide to help one family a month and earn an extra $1,000 a month, and look at that. Now they're going to be debt-free 7.8 years and save $372,000. Look at that new payoff date. What if they help two families a month? Friends, you could do anything you want. This is like literally having a crystal ball into your financial future. In fact, I'm going to take it a step further. What if you could choose what your financial future looked like simply based on how many other people you're willing to help? I'm going to come back to that when we share our lucrative compensation plan with you. But what if you could literally choose your financial future? Well, guess what? You can. And for Brad and Cindy, they decide, this is really awesome. We love it, but we feel a little bit tight on the monthly budget. We don't feel like we have any breathing room. So we're going to put some money back into the expenditures. We're going to put the $150 a month back, plus we're going to add another $250 to it. They're increasing their spending budget by $400 a month, just so they've got a little breathing room and they don't feel so tight on everything. And they're still going to be debt-free in 8.5 years. 8.5 years, friends. They're happy with that. They're going to save $360,000. And by the way, they know that at any given time, their income could change. It could go up, and they could be out of debt even faster. So that's what they've got in the back of their mind as they go through the end of 2023. Well, in December of 2023, Cindy comes home, big tears rolling down her eyes, and Brad says, "Honey, what's the matter?" She says, "I lost my job. I got laid off." Now, that's something they didn't see coming. That was unexpected. So now they've got no choice. Cindy was the top income earner. We've got to take that income out of the situation. So they take it out. Does the money max say, sorry, you failed, you broke it, nope, it's not going to work? Doesn't say any of that. It says, guys, you're going to be fined for 30 months. Yeah, you are going to exceed your available funds, but not until June the 1st of 2026. Now remember, this was at the end of 2023. 30 months, 2.5 years before they run out of money. Friends, do you know what that is for Brad and Cindy? That's peace of mind. They don't have to stress out. They know they're going to be okay. And Cindy, she's smart. She says, Brad, honey, I've been working 40 hours a week. I've been commuting 2 hours every day. I'm putting in 50 hours a week on the work and road. Why? I could stay home and I could make $4,000 a week. I could make $5,000 a week with United Financial Freedom, and I'm not going to have to work all those hours. I'll have more freedom. I can be home when the kids get home from school. And Brad says, honey, I like that idea. They decide she's going to go full-time with United Financial Freedom. They're going to be conservative. They're going to put in just $3,000 a week full-time for Cindy to go full-time with United Financial Freedom. And they even give themselves until the end of February to really ramp up to that figure. So they're going to get through their training in January and the first part of February. What's this going to do for Brad and Cindy? 3.5 years, friends, and they're debt-free. 3.5 years. The house is paid, the student loan is paid, the car is paid, the credit cards are paid. They're done paying interest to the bank. 3.5 years. Remember where the bank would have had them going? $492,000 of interest? For what? The bank would have barely been getting them out of debt in 30 years? Terrible plan. Terrible. Over here, 3.5 years. By age 38 for Brad and Cindy. That means they're saving $442,000 of interest, friends. They're debt-free. They've saved 26 and a half years of debt payments. Do you know what they can now do? Even if they only got 1% return on that money, which they can do better than that in a simple savings account. In fact, we've got a sister company, United Financial Wealth, that's going to help them get a much, much better return than that. But even conservatively, at a 1% return, if they were able to put all of that money that they'd been paying the bank into building their retirement, they could have a $4.7 million retirement versus nothing for retirement over here. Friends, let me ask you a really important question. Which path looks better to you? Steve Bishop, do you want to unmute and just share with people your experience with United Financial Freedom?
Yes, sir, Lynn. Thank you so much again. Hey, folks, listen. I've been associated with this great company since November the 24th, 2008. Well, a long time ago. Well, it's just amazing. I love what Lynn said. What if you could control your financial future? Guess what? Steve and Sue Bishop did. I've been in the financial services business at that time about 37 years, and I was a career guy with American General, retired when I was only 50 with 30-year career. But I went to a presentation here in Atlanta. This actually was back in October of 2008, and I was really impressed with the presentation. But I really, my background in retirement planning is I wanted a deeper dive. So I called out to Salt Lake City, actually Draper, Utah, and made an appointment with John Washenko, the creator of our program. Took 3 of my advisors with me and spent 2 days with him and his team, and I was blown away. Well, folks, Steve and Sue Bishop have lived mortgage and debt free well over a decade. Well over a decade. We live the life that you've only imagined. Why? Is it because of that? No. I've got clients that we go to church with that's now mortgage and debt free. I've got a church. I would guess I was the first agent with the company to work with the church to help them become mortgage and debt free. We changed lives. This morning I looked at there's $13.17 trillion in mortgage debt today. There is not a shortage of the market, but we got a shortage of people to help us eliminate debt. Lynn, I can go on and on, but I want to ask you this morning. If you could change your financial future, where you didn't worry about money, where you could take care of your family, educate your children, and even educate your grandchildren, and give more to the Lord Jesus' kingdom, would you want to do that? Listen, I look at Marty, and I'm so proud of all these folks, and Leslie Hudson, all these ladies and gentlemen. Again, hey, Lynn, also, guess what? Of the 32 people, we've only got 10 men, 22 ladies. What does that tell us? Hey, listen, the reason I'm successful is because of the Lord and my wife, Sue. So, Lynn, I could go on and on and on and on. But listen, if you want to have a phenomenal life, and it's not about money, but about changing lives, hey, don't worry about the money. The money will come. So, Lynn, I better shut up. So don't ask me about UFF. I love UFF. I love what it's done for us. I love what it's doing for this. And guess what? We still need great people just like you to help us on our team. Ashley, I love your smile. Miss Ashley Powell. God bless you, Lynn.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate that very, very much. Thank you. I love the idea of living debt-free, mortgage-free, making your money work for you. I love what Steve Jobs said when he started Apple. He said, we don't give people what we think they want. We give them what they never thought was possible. And that's what we do at United Financial Freedom. Marty Barthauer, are you available to unmute and just share with people? Steve mentioned your name. Marty, are you available to share what this program has done for your family?
I'd love to. So I'm one of those people who followed a program that had money map steps, and we got out of debt the hard way, the live way below your means and sacrifice for a long time sort of way. It works. But when I came here over a year ago, I immediately saw that if we had had this program 20 years ago, we would have gotten out of debt faster, saved more money and interest, and not had to sacrifice so much and not skip vacations and put things that were important to our family on hold. And so I like what Steve said, appreciate his legacy and all he pours into this company after 20 years here. And what we get to do every day just changes everything for a family, for their outlook, for their hope, for their knowledge about their actual financial potential. And so, just a couple quick examples. I helped a client recently. This is their savings report. Okay, every client gets one of these. This person had $251,000 of student loans, $81,000 in credit card debt, and at their wits' end, beside themselves, not sure what to do about it. And we are directing her exactly out of debt in the most efficient way possible in 6.8 years. We're saving her $277,000 that would have been interest thrown away to the bank so that she can do something with that and get a home and accomplish her other goals. Here's a real estate investor we helped recently. Six mortgages, 8 properties, wants to retire from his full-time job and just do the real estate. He's going to be debt-free in 9 years, 9.9, and he's saving $748,000 in interest. And so there's never a boring day here. Like we get to, I wish I had a screenshot for every family when we showed them their results, because they usually go, because they had no idea how much was possible for them, not only to get out of debt, not only to save money, but to see that they have massive wealth building potential beyond what they thought. And so I love it. It is a mission. It is a calling. And I'm just thankful that we get to do this. So thanks for letting me share.
Thank you, Marty. That is exciting. If I heard you right, your real estate investor is paying off how many properties in 9-something years?
It's 8 homes with 6 mortgages in 9.9 years.
Wow. Marty, thank you for sharing that. Friends, does that give you a glimpse of what's possible here? That is so powerful. Thank you for sharing that. I want to switch gears now and talk about our independent agency model business opportunity and comp plan. Because friends, as good as the program is, and it is incredible, it is remarkable, when you start helping other people and take advantage of the agency model business that we're going to show you, it's literally like pouring rocket fuel on your own program. And that's what my wife and I experienced. I'm going to talk about an agency system first, and I'm going to invite Kevin Foster to help me here, because Kevin Foster is now an executive director. He's one of the top leaders in our company with United Financial Freedom. Kevin Foster, before you talk about the agency system, Kevin, just really quickly mention what the program did for you and Sherry in terms of paying off your debt. And then I'd love to have you talk about what's an agency, because you've had those brick and mortar businesses.
Thank you, Lynn. I'm always excited to share my story because it's a story of hope. I was 63, almost to be 64, looking to retire. I knew I would not be able to retire and take social insecurity if I had a mortgage. And so I was looking for a way to do that. And the program actually showed my wife and I how to be able to pay off our brand new 20-year mortgage in less than 36 months. Now think about that. That solved one of the 2 problems. The second problem I had is I needed to find a way to earn about another $1,000 a month. And I said, what can I do to do that? Well, what I quickly found out is with United Financial Freedom and this agency system, it allowed me to do that very quickly just by referring a couple of people a month to the person that referred me to the company. Wasn't very long from there. We were able to earn $1,000 a month, then $1,000 a week. And very quickly, we had several days in a month that we were earning more than $1,000 in a day. Now, I wasn't counting on any of that, folks. I was counting on getting my mortgage paid off. I need $1,000 a month. But you have to be careful, because if you don't think big enough, sometimes the program will surprise you. And that takes me back to how we get paid. See, I spent 42 years in the financial industry. Not that you have to have any financial experience to do this. You do not. But I was a farmer's insurance agent, and I've had insurance agencies. I've had tax and accounting businesses. So I've been around the field a long time. For most of these agency systems, you look at it, takes some money, some substantial money. When I started with farmers, I'd have $15,000 liquid capital just to be able to get started to put their sign on the front of my building. And I still had to pay rent, utilities, employees, such and such and such. With this program, my wife and I were able to take this with a modest investment of less than $200 and be able to build a six-figure income. And to me, that is so amazing because this is exactly what people are looking for. Folks, people are looking for a way to be able to earn a substantial amount of money working 100% from home. And this program allows you to do that. So I'm very, very excited about what we do. I'm almost 5 years in now. It gets better and better every single day. Thanks, Lynn.
Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate that very, very much. And friends, an agency model business like all of the ones that you see on the screen right here, and there's thousands more, Kevin's right. If you did any of these brick and mortar agency model businesses, you would have to have tens of thousands of dollars down just to put their name on the outside of the building. And that's when the real overhead begins. Friends, everything that we do is virtual. As Kevin mentioned, we work from home. That means as long as we've got high-speed internet, a laptop, a telephone, a smartphone, we're good. We're good to go. And we don't charge tens of thousands of dollars down. It's a whopping $199. That's it. It's a technology fee or a registration fee. And friends, there's no territories. There's no income cap, no license required. It's a national opportunity. You can talk to people in all 50 states and Puerto Rico. It's automated commission increases, automated rank promotions. There's nothing holding anyone back here from having huge success. And as Kevin already shared, you might start out making an extra $1,000 a month. And then all of a sudden, before you know it, it's $1,000 a week. And then several days, maybe $1,000 a day. Friends, how much do you want to make? It's possible and achievable with United Financial Freedom. I'm going to go through 6 different ways that you can potentially earn money with United Financial Freedom. There's personal sales commissions, field equity points, field trainer commissions, leadership overrides, 5 different profit sharing pools, and management overrides. And friends, that's really just kind of a glimpse. But this company is so incredibly lucrative that one of the first things that we do when you decide to get started is that we're going to partner you up with a certified field trainer. That certified field trainer is going to do 98% of the work for you. All you have to do is introduce somebody to them. And that's what Kevin just said he did when he started. He introduced somebody that he knew that he loved and cared about and wanted to help to the person that introduced him. And they are the ones that did the work in terms of showing the savings report, running the analysis, in terms of showing the demo, showing how the program works, answering the questions, all of that. And yet Kevin and Sherry still got paid, and so will you. Friends, when you're a brand new training associate assigned a certified field trainer, you're still going to get paid an average of about $600 for each and every client that you help. And all you're doing is watching and observing. You're in training. That's what we call earning while you learn. And after you complete 4 training sales, now your commission potential is going to double. Now, when you go out and help a family, you're making about $1,200. Now, I told you Cindy's going to make about $1,000 every time she helps a family. Well, we're taking a couple $100 out for taxes. This is a 1099 position. So you make about $1,200 gross. You set aside a couple of $100 for taxes, and you've got about $1,000 net for you, depending on your tax situation and depending on your deductions. But friends, that's pretty doggone lucrative for just helping people. If Cindy or anybody else goes out and helps 3 families a week, that's $3,000 a week income before they've even really started building an agency. But what does it look like if they decide to start building an agency with United Financial Freedom? What does that mean? It simply means, guys, if I'm a real estate broker, I can bring real estate agents into my agency, and when they help somebody, I make an override. I get paid a different contract level than they're at. Well, it's the same thing here. You bring somebody in and introduce them. Let's say that you're a director and your average is $1,500 every time you make a sale and help a family, and you bring in somebody brand new, they're making $600. Well, guess where that differential, we call it spread, goes? That's a $900 spread. So when you bring somebody new into your agency and they bring somebody and you're helping them, you're doing the demo, you're doing the analysis, you're getting them started, they're excited because they're saving a ton of money, a ton of time, you're making $900 for helping that trainee. That spread goes up to you. Pretty exciting. Now, friends, there's spread between every level. If you're a senior associate and somebody that you brought in as a trainee becomes an associate, there's still a $150 spread. So once they're trained and they're making sales, you're still getting a $150 override every time they help a family. I want you to start really thinking big here. I love what you said, Kevin, about sometimes you don't think big enough and this thing just kind of overtakes you. I love that. That is so true. Because, friends, what if there was a fast start option where you could join today and by the end of next week, maybe the week after, you could be a director? There is. I love our fast start option. It simply says if you come in and get started and you get 8 scheduled appointments with your certified trainer, that means you find 8 people that are interested in saving $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, 20 years or more of debt payments, and you get them in front of your certified field trainer, at least 4 of them are going to buy the program. At least 3 of them are going to want to become agents so that they can make extra income. And boom, you do that in your first 30 days, you're going to get promoted from training associate to director. Just like that. Now, all you have to do is go out and keep doing what you're doing, helping other people, a couple of families a week, and help other people become agents and do the same thing. That's it. That's how simple this whole thing is. So let me give you an example. You'll see the spread between each of these levels. You can go all the way up to executive director. Let me show you what's really possible. Kevin is an executive director. So when he brings other people into his agency and he's making the spread on their sales, whatever level they're at, if they're making a sale, he's getting the difference. He's the master agent in that agency. If Kevin had 5 agents in his agency, 1 at each one of these levels, associate, senior associate, director, senior director, and managing director, and if Kevin plus his 5 agents each help 1 family a week, Kevin and Sherry are making $49.50 a week. That's over $250,000 a year. Everybody's only helping 1 family a week. What if they push a little bit and they each help 2 families a week? Well, as the executive director, Kevin and Sherry are now making over $500,000 a year, $9,900 a week. What if you did 3 families, 4 families a week? What if you, instead of having 5 agents in your agency, what if you had 15? Friends, how much money do you want to make? And when Kevin has other agents come up under him and they get to that executive director level, he doesn't lose the ability to override their production. He actually gains more. So let's say that Marty, which by the way she's an executive director and she's in Kevin's line. So she becomes an executive director. Let's say that she's front line to Kevin. Well, now anybody in Marty's agency makes a sale, Kevin and Sherry get $270. What if Marty and her agency are out there making 10 sales a week? That's another $2,700 a week above and beyond what I just showed you for Kevin and Sherry. $2,700 per week. Marty spins out another executive director, and maybe they end up with 15 or 20 agents in their agency, and they're each helping 1 family a week. Now Kevin's getting $160 a week times 15. Start doing the math, guys, and start absolutely seeing the big picture. Friends, this goes down 6 generations of teams, not individuals, teams or agencies. It's incredible. And then there's monthly bonus pool money on top of that. Friends, there's people that will make 6 figures a year just in bonus pool money. And as Kevin said, you don't have to have any experience. It's a pretty simple process. Get into the business, $199, and you can even put that on a credit card. So you're leveraging the bank's money. You don't even have to take any money out of your pocket. Get the program yourself. That's going to be your instrument from getting your own family out of debt and building your retirement. And not only that, listen, I'm going to give you $1 million secret. When you get on the system yourself, that's your best tool. Why? Because now you've got a testimonial. Now you can share with people, this program is saving our family X amount of money. It's saving us X amount of time. That testimonial is huge. People are going to say, oh, how are you doing that? That's huge. And by the way, when you get the program as a business owner, yeah, I'm not a tax advisor, but I tax deducted mine. Friends, look at this. 0 money down and $149 a month on approved credit to get the program. $199 on a credit card. What does that mean? It means you don't even have to take any money out of your pocket to do this. And by the time you get those first monthly minimum payment statements, you're going to already have thousands of dollars in your bank account because you were simply willing to say yes, get started, and go out and start helping other people, inviting other people. That's it. Guys, don't make this hard. Keep it simple. Just imagine how different your life can be a month from now, a week from now, a year from now. And I love what Zig Ziglar says because he's correct. He says you can have everything in life you want if you'll just help enough other people get what they want. Michael Harris, are you available to unmute for a moment? Michael Harris has a lot of mortgage experience, mortgage background. Michael, I'd love to have you share with people what you saw in United Financial Freedom, why you joined, and what's going on now in your business.
Thank you, Len. As a mortgage individual, a lot of us feel that we kind of know what's going on and we kind of understand everything. And to some degree, we understand a lot, but we understand very little. And a lot of the industry right now that I'm reaching out to has to understand the difference between interest rate and interest volume. As you have mentioned, 3% sounds great, but it's only as great as how quickly and how efficiently you handle that obligation. So as a mortgage professional, we leverage and put people into property and we get them a loan. For instance, I have a couple right now who's putting 50% down on a home, which is, yes and no, depending on their situation. But again, it's working out those numbers, but showing them a current rate today in the 6s is 70 some odd percent interest volume on their first payment. So it's understanding the concepts and understanding what they can do as we've shown with the program. But as far as an opportunity, it was a way for me to reach back to past, present, and future clients. I host talk radio on the weekends, and in doing that, I educate as well. But it's showing people something a little different. Many people get in line, and then they tap the person in front of them and say, what are we in line for? And we need to educate people to understand that they need to be in their own line because nobody's going to handle things as efficiently as they can with the help of others. And that's what this group really did. It allowed others to get involved in my business and understanding collectively. Kevin talked about his experience with farmers, but his credit background, experience that he has. Steve, his experience in insurance. All of these people have this experience to bring to the table, and you have yours as well. And in doing that, it allows us to work together as a team for one accomplishment, reaching one family at a time. And my numbers went from 26.4 on my own. I was taking it down to 12.3. I thought I was pretty smart until the program had me down to 7.9. So that 4 point some odd years here in California was 6 figures. And 6 figures, I don't care if it's 10,000. 10,000 is still a lot of money. So if you haven't made the decision and you haven't looked at it, definitely please do. Any amount of money is money that I'd love to have you save. I kind of make a joke with my clients when we talk about a no point, no fee loan, lowering your rate, using that discretionary for something else. And they go, oh, it's not enough. Well, tell you what, I'll do all the work. I'll do it all. I'll save the money. You just write me the check every month and I'll take it. So, each their own. But how much is enough? Every penny counts. And with that, I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it very much. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Marty. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Michael. Thank you all for being on today. Friends, get back to the person that invited you. Get started today. It's the best decision you'll ever make. God bless. Take care. Bye-bye.